Welcome back to Miles for Mental Health. As you may remember, my name's Robbie. This is Dylan.
How you doing?
We are in Rainbow Falls today, which is a place infamous for an obstacle called Mini Moab, which I think we'll get to eventually. We're entering into some rutted mud pits, which we will get on the front camera there for you, and hopefully we don't splash it too much here. Okay, there we go.
That'd be a cool effect, though.
Yeah, that would be a cool effect. Yeah, so today, thanks for joining us. We had a little plan to do some Jeeping and figured we would talk a little bit about mental health. For those of you, I guess for all of you who have not met Dylan yet, Dylan, would love if you could tell us a little bit about yourself. Just give us maybe like, personal, professional background. Give us the rundown.
Sounds good. Okay, so I'm Dylan. I am a psychologist. I live in Denver. I've been here for like 2.5 years. Robbie and I have known each other for a little more than a year now. Yeah, we met from my girlfriend and Robbie go way back in college. And we've been hanging out a lot past year. So let's see. I'm a pretty recent psychologist. I'm only 30.
Okay.
So I work at this place called Birch Psychology, and it's like a group private practice, which means that I pretty much have my own clients that I see. I see a lot of teens. Yeah. I see some young adults. I see some older adults. I have some like specializations. Like I know a decent amount about anxiety, and I've had a lot of training working with like trans kids and trans young adults, which is I love that work. Do some stuff with OCD, but I don't know. I'm kind of everywhere with it. This Jeeping thing is wigging me out.
Oh, look at this view right here. Let's see. I'll turn the Jeep towards
give the people the view
so that people can see. There's Pikes Peak right there. If you can see that on the GoPro, we got a family who's doing a little posing right now. This is actually Mini Moab right here.
Really?
So we made it. So what we'll do is we'll go down to the bottom, and then we will climb up it. So I think we're gonna go this way. Let's see here. So what were you talking about?
Oh, you were asking me about couples.
Yeah.
That's been kind of a new thing for me. That's really it's very interesting. It's a very different experience doing couples therapy versus individual.
Sure.
Counting for more than one perspective at the same time.
All right, let's see here. We got some big rocks that we're gonna go over. I think I've come the other way on this one before. Let's watch our tilt. Yeah, this is no big deal. So down here, this is the base of Mini Moab, down here where all these cars are parked. Oh. Our wheels are a little muddy, so we slipped off of that last rock, but we are doing just fine. So we're at a 15 degree pitch. So if you remember, I was telling you earlier on Red Cone, it's like this, but it's 20 degrees.
Damn.
And sorry, that's a pitch forward, which I don't know if that's actually called not pitch and something else, but I'll correct that in the video later if I need to. Let's see.
I feel like culturally there's just so many different ways of like supporting a couple and what that means. I mean, like something that's interesting with therapy in general, and definitely couples therapy, is like how much, as someone who's a stranger, should I sort of know their business? Sure. Yeah. And like what's that process like? And I think that's like culturally that's very. It's just very informed. I think a lot of cultures it'd be seen as pretty inappropriate to like have this person come into a relationship and be sort of like told the most you know, whatever sensitive pieces of information around it.
Uh-huh.
But then like, to get to your point, I think like without that sometimes then things aren't necessarily discussed.
All right, we're trying to catch on to this guy.
Come
so
on.
I think we're gonna go ahead and turn our lockers on. We've had our lockers off this whole time.
What is a locker?
So axle lockers are these devices somewhere in your differential or in your axle that keep it so that your tires are rotating at the same speed always. So when your axles are not locked, what you can have is one wheel might actually be stuck up against an obstacle, and your engine is trying to roll that wheel on top of the obstacle, but instead of putting all that energy, that power towards that wheel, it's just gonna spin the right wheel, which is not like stuck on the obstacle.
Interesting.
And so we're gonna try lock. Sometimes it's a little hard.
Nice.
And just like that. We'll get up this. Let me check my camera.
Come on, Bessie.
There we go. So in regards to like the negative outcomes that come from like not talking to someone, right? In a relationship, you know,
it's maybe helpful to talk also about like what couples therapy maybe does first.
Oh yeah, sure. Give us the rundown.
Yeah. Well, there's I'm like I said, I'm quite new to it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of couples have moments where they feel like they can solve a lot of their problems by talking to each other, and then sometimes it's just like gets to a point where it's not working and they just get caught in these like ruts or these like patterns of communication that aren't helpful. And maybe that looks like one partner is being like really critical, and then another partner is retreating from that criticism and is being really
GoPro.
Hell yeah. What up, brother? And then another partner is like retreating from that and being cold and being sort of like standoffish and then like those, like part of the reason that people like seek help sometimes is those patterns, like it becomes a dynamic, right? It becomes like a dynamic where one person is doing something, it causes a reaction to the other person, which then like exacerbates the first thing, and then you get caught like kind of in this cycle, and often it like, I feel like one helpful thing that couples therapists can do is like identify what's happening on a more essential level and also on a more like emotional level, because most of the time people aren't like the actual issue itself. Sometimes the issue itself is like the real thing that people are fighting about and they need help like doing that. Like I think my parents briefly went to couples therapy because my dad's Jewish and my mom was Methodist, and they were like, how are we going to raise our kids?
Sure.
And that's just like a content that's like a hard question. That's just like hard content that you need to work through. But a lot of it is around like the process of how people communicate and how people fight, and feeling comfortable with fighting, like whether or not you feel like you can tolerate when your partner's upset at you, or if like you're in distress and you're angry, can you tolerate if you're mad at your partner? And then like if we're having a fight about this, doesn't mean that we still love each other, you know? And it's like, I don't know, being able to feel like strong in the attachment of your relationship while still disagreeing about important things.
Yeah.
I had this one advisor early on, he told me that like not all couples therapy, not all good couples therapy ends in the couple staying together, which is also kind of interesting. You kind of think you kind of fuck up your job. Sorry, you did a bad job, right? If the couple breaks up.
Sure.
But sometimes I'm actually one of my clients right now. I'm like I think if I do a good job, I think they're gonna break up.
Sometimes people just aren't compatible.
Yeah.
That's very understandable.
Yeah.
Let's take a pause real quick and check out this this trail in front of us, and see what it's like to go down. So we're gonna do a little scoping, a little spotting. We'll hop out and get the other GoPro and maybe get some different angles.
Cool, let's do it. Come on down. Let's hope she doesn't roll here. That's how she's done.
Wow, okay, so
We're back at it.
we're back at it. We just got done hanging out at Mini Moab for a little bit. We had some lunch, did some obstacles, which Dylan, you know, a therapist turned camcorder.
Yeah, exactly.
He got on the sticks and got some good footage for us, which you'll see in the video. Now we are kind of making our way out of Mini Moab. We've probably got another hour on the trail, and then we'll be out. And then it's about an hour and a half or 2 hours back to Denver, where we'll be. So I remember we were talking a little bit about and during, before and during Mini Moab. We were talking about couples
therapy.
Yeah, couples therapy. I would love to continue that conversation a little bit. And what would you say are kind of like key indicators for a need for couples therapy, key indicators in a relationship, you know, where couples therapy might be able to help improve things? And then additionally, what would you recommend to, you know, to someone who is experiencing those indicators? You know, for instance, watching this video right now, what is the step one to 10, like, you know, how do they go get you know, this care, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it could be harder too. It's like, I think it could be harder to do couples therapy than individual. And individual already is like a pretty big leap.
Yeah.
So like identifiers, like we talked about, like getting stuck in those like cyclical patterns. Like that's probably the biggest one. Like if you feel like you are really struggling with some of the same fights over and over again, like, and they're just not moving, you know, in a way toward resolution. That's one indicator. If there's like a really famous, I'm gonna forget some of these, but it's like John Gottman and then the Gottman Institute is this like famous psychologist couple, actually, that like, did a lot of work on this, and they talk about the Four Horsemen as being like things that are difficult to a relationship. And like the one that's one of the more damning aspects is contempt. Like if you feel contempt for your partner, or feel like your partner feels contempt for you, that's obviously pretty untenable. Another one is like stonewalling, where like one partner is, often it's in response to a partner being really critical or like really expressing their needs, and you stonewall or sort of shut it down, like you're unwilling to have the conversation. That's also a time where like it's just hard to move forward when someone or both people are just sort of putting their feet in the ground.
Right.
So I'd say, yeah, it's like when there are problems that come up that are going to come up no matter what, but then like it just doesn't feel like you're able over a course of like weeks or months to like even bring up the topic, let alone resolve it. And then it's like anything else. Like some people come and seek me for therapy when like they're in the middle of a crisis, and then some people seek me for therapy when just something's gone like a little bit off.
Sure.
But I'd say with couples, like if there's sort of like a small problem, but you're able to still like work together, it makes working through stuff a lot easier. So it's similar to like, you know, it's like good to go to your dentist when you feel some level of pain in your mouth.
Sure.
But before like the whole tooth is fucking falling out.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like the same thing is true for therapy. And then how they actually do that, like, I would say that most people nowadays, like, insurance with couples therapy can be a little bit tricky sometimes.
Okay.
Because insurance overall for individual therapy is already tough. Like, a lot of therapists are at a network. But you can start by like kind of going through your therapy. I mean, going through your insurance and like checking about who's covered in your insurance. You can go to Psychology Today. That's probably the most common site. Therapy Den's a really common site. And with those, you can like search for providers in your area and select certain specialties.
Awesome.
Like couples therapy. And then I would just like do like some consults with some couples therapists. Like schedule for example, I do like 15-minute phone calls for free, and I just like talk to people for 15 minutes. I talk to couples, and we just sort of, I mean, that gives you enough information to see if you like kind of like the vibe of the person.
All right, let's see. We're gonna turn on to this road now, which should be a little more of a paved road than what we've been driving on. And so we're gonna switch out of 4 low now, which we've been on since we got on the trail. Oh, let's get our sway bar off. Okay, sway bar's connected.
Did you have someone like teach you how to drive a Jeep? It strikes me as being much more complicated than a car.
There is some additional complications.
Yeah.
I would say that my dad, he certainly was the one who taught me the most about Jeeps. He got me interested in Jeeps. He's had a Jeep ever since I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so he, while he doesn't do as much off-roading, I think, as I've done now, he taught me the basics. And then, the other way that I learned a lot of these skills, which is honestly kind of related to how you hone your skills for coping with your own mental health, is being in groups, right? So, being with a group of individuals who have shared experiences, people who have done that trail before, whether it's a trail of rocks and dirt, or a trail of dealing with problems with a couple, either way, I mean, it's learning from others, right? And so lots of asking questions, lots of being okay to like receive feedback,
Amen.
And so all of the all of these little off-roading tricks that I talk about on this channel, and that I've built up in my little encyclopedia over the last couple years, have all been from other people. And so you really just kind of stand on the shoulders of those who are in front of you. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very applicable to really every walk of life, and I'm really glad that we were able to have you here, Dylan, today to talk to us a little bit about couples therapy, and how to have positive, meaningful relationships, and hopefully we can have you on the channel again in the future. If you liked this Jeeping experience. And
nothing like Jeeping and therapy.
I know, yeah. We'll
therapy about Jeeping.
Yeah. We'll get you behind the wheel next time, and
I'm gonna need some therapy after that.
Yeah, definitely. But thanks everybody for watching. Again, we were at Rainbow Falls, going over Mini Moab. I'll send out some coordinates in the comments below. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at Miles4MH. And then of course you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn as well, Miles for Mental Health, spelled all the way out. And if you're feeling willing and you want to support these efforts and you know, be able to watch us have more conversations like this, you know, please sign up for our tax-deductible Patreon channel. For as little as $10 a month, you can receive access to exclusive or early released footage from Miles for Mental Health, and there are some higher tier options as well if you want to you know, really support the channel. And we'd appreciate any involvement whatsoever, whether it's monetarily or by sharing our videos with your friends. And hopefully we will be releasing some content soon, going into more detail about Mind Freedom Ghana, which is the mental health nonprofit that we're partnering with in Accra, Ghana, and about all of the advocacy and stigma reduction work that they do there in Accra. So please stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, thanks y'all.